Mafoi Rajan, member of Legislative Assembly and one of the internationally renowned HR experts. He is an industrialist, educationist, and a politician. He is fondly known as Mafoi Rajan because he's placed over 4 lakh professionals in 36 countries. He's nurtured about 24 startups and he's an angel investor. I request Shri Mafoi Rajan to render his speech on the topic human resources. Please, sir.
Dear friends, it's a pleasure to address this audience on the pet theme of mine, HR. And it's also probably the first time I'm wearing a politician veshti and addressing an IIT Madras. Many times I've addressed here. Most of the times it's been on entrepreneurship. I've never under Swadeshi aspects or on the Chennai Angels, which I'm a co-founder of, and most of the times I've been on those platforms. It's been interesting, and let me thank the organizers to have called me to envision HR in 2020. I just wanted to just say 3 things. One, I'm not going to respond to any of these key aspects of on education, health. HR is about education, health, and livelihood, and I'm not going to touch many things which my illustrious predecessors have attempted to do. I'm going to just touch one thing, which is the idea of jobs for everyone. I really think many things that we do. I mean, I've lived my life, all my life, a large part of my life to find jobs for people. Okay, that's been my definition of life. So I still remember the day when first time a real conceptual gem of a work got done in 1998 when Vajpayee ji assumed charge as the Prime Minister, and the first signature he had was to set up a task force under, guess who? Montek Singh Ahluwalia, who was politically in the opposite spectrum, who kind of was put us in charge of how to find jobs for 1 crore people every year. That was a very simple task force. I was delighted to be a member of the task force through CII, which I was heading the Tamil Nadu thing at that time. So it was very interesting work which got delivered by this task force. And sure enough, simultaneously we had another very illustrious person called Ravindra Verma. He was known as the guy who defeated Sanjay Gandhi at those times, and very a socialist trade unionist who was simultaneously working on the Indian Labour Congress or whatever. So that was a body which was working on what to do with our labour laws. And I think both the committees did a phenomenal job of coming up with answers to this key question. The first question they asked themselves was, till that time, people were not even actually having an accurate picture about how many people were coming into the labour market in India, conceiving India as a labour market into which people come, people seek jobs, and people get, some of them get organized sector jobs, some of them get suboptimal informal sector jobs, some of them remain unemployed. The whole model for looking at this, there were many engineers, IITians part of the task force, and I really felt it did the first time a model got established, wading through this maze of surveys, each of them will conflict with one another. I think this is the first time a HR-centric policy approach got evolved, in my view, which of course, thanks to the RSS, BJP politics, this report got dumped, and there was another Dr. Jain who was appointed to review both the task forces, and he came up with a few other set of recommendations. But in my view, some of the things which at that time got conceived are very relevant for us today. See, the first question that HR, macro HR we need to address is, India is the country which has the lowest percentage of organized sector employment in the world. Even Sri Lanka has 42%. If you look at organized sector employment, it's like it has 4 components. One is to be recognized as a part of the workforce. In India, for a long, long time, if you guess, if you really ask the question, how many people are working in the organized sector, it's less than 5 crores out of the labor force of around 54 crores in this country, 54.8 crores in this country, in a population of 126 crores. The first question is, why is it so low, our labor force? People who get classified as being part of the labor force itself is one of the lowest in the world. Okay, now it has many issues, policy issues, how do we treat housewives, how do we treat people who are doing work of a certain kind, how do we treat servant maids, all kinds of questions which were asked around this time. But today we know, by and large, 54.8 crores of people work in the labor force in a country of 126 crore population. Out of that, less than 5 crore belong to this euphemistic thing called organized sector. The saddest part in our country is, the minister who changes most in this country, irrespective of the governmental dispensation, is the labor minister. So like the highest level of attrition, irrespective of whether it's Congress, BJP or probably the present labor minister has the longest stint, to my knowledge, 1 year, 2 months. Okay, so like, no, that's, believe me, it's no joke, but nobody actually bothers about it, because this is the question which in my view is very seminal, which has an impact on what kind of jobs you guys are going to get. I think half of you are preparing for IAS. I can see, the kind of question which is least asked in this country, which in my view is the most potent from the HR point of view, is really this question. Why is it only 9% of the workforce is in the organized sector, with 4 components? One is to be recognized that you are working somewhere. 2, you get paid a certain salary which is recognized to be above the minimum wages, above whatever need to be paid. And you have a statutory protection, whether it's PF or ESI or some semblance of a superannuation fund. Today, to even integrate this and say, it's been quite a task. I was leading this Indian Staffing Federation, which did a research into this particular activity. Mr. Rangarajan may remember that discussion we had, where country after country came and presented. ILO I had presented, where they talked about this particular issue, why in India organized sector percentage is so low. One of the spurious answers which come to it, India is very entrepreneurial, so we are all entrepreneurs. Okay, so some funny figures get given. 25% of the workforce is entrepreneurship on their own, kind of a thing, which at one level is very true. India is very entrepreneurial, which is a very, very positive strength of this country. But it does not allow us to kind of excuse us from this key question, which is like, they keep talking in HR, the idea of employment diamond. Employment, you can conceive of it as a diamond. You have 4 elements which go into creating meaningful employment. One is, of course, the security of employment. 2 is the productivity of employment. 3 is the flexibility of employment. 4 is the dignity of employment. Any basic HR guy will tell you the 4 elements to employment. In India, there are many interesting dimensions. With excessive focus on security of employment from our independence time or even pre-independence, we have pushed most of our workforce into indignified forms of employment in many ways. That's one of the, whether it's labor laws which got conceived, most of it got literally imported from England, whatever. Even they have changed and gone, but many of our laws have not changed. Ravindra Verma, I'm quoting Ravindra Verma, one of the star trade unionists in this country, who said we should weave all our 150 plus labor laws around 7 mother laws and sack 100 of them. He said, which of course this government has set a task force apparently to send off many of these labor laws, but integrating these labor laws into 7 meaningful laws and actually sacking a whole lot of things was a seminal contribution Ravindra Verma did way back in 2000, and it's still out there, not being able to be implemented. Believe me, to me, no sensible suggestion will ever see the light of the day unless you're able to see an issue as a mass issue. In my view, somewhere, issues relating to labor force, issues relating to HR are never seen as issues which touch the people. When it comes to an election, my illustrious speaker, the earlier speaker would know, when it comes to an election, when you're there on the ground level, issues that tend to matter are many other things. The caste, the base that you have, the kind of religion, the issues relating to religion, the issues relating to a whole lot of things, where many of these bread and butter questions never see the light of the day as political issues. In my view, one of the key reasons why these questions have never really surfaced, I would like to place on the table here. Okay, so I would like to, say, jobs for everyone, is it possible? Some of the ideas which have been just floating around, which really kind of need to see the light of the day. One is, of course, employment exchanges, converting themselves into career centers. The earlier government, Prime Minister articulated it, Vajpayee articulated it right there in 1999, but it's still remaining as a dream. Whatever Modi could do in Gujarat, some pilots are available. But I really think somewhere this is often just on paper. So like you have still the spectacle of a normal employment exchange generating an average of 516 jobs in a year. Okay, which is really one of the lowest if you really were to look at. Okay, where one employment exchange, for instance, in Gujarat generated close to 21,000 jobs in a year. It's possible. It's possible that there's a young guy sitting in an employment exchange officer in Trichy could make a major difference, that he could actually generate 10,000 jobs in that particular year in Tamil Nadu. It happened. Okay, but why are we not able to replicate it? Why is there no political will backing it? Our questions, I like to leave it on the table. Okay, the second, setting up Overseas Employment Bureau, which this government has just given out a tender to set this up. I wanted to understand one thing. See, if you really look at organized sector employment, in a year, India generates hardly 4 to 5 lakhs. In the last 10 years, if you were to do that, this is all that it generates. Okay, while 1.2 crores of people come into the job market looking for jobs. Imagine the kind of difference. And one of the things that we do well is around, this 4-5 lakhs of people who get organized sector jobs, and who around 2 to 2.5 lakhs of people net get international jobs today. It's possible, in my view, to get at least 1 million to 1.5 million jobs of organized sector work internationally if some of our issues get straightened. When C.K. Prahalad first articulated, I still remember the day vividly in my mind, which Vajpayee ji cut and pasted in his address from the ramparts of the Red Fort on the skill development mission. When the skill development mission got articulated first in 2003, August 15th, it was verbatim taken from a report given by Jeffrey and C.K. Prahalad at that point in time. And it was verbatim taken. I remember because I was sitting in the Eisenhower Fellowship in US, and I was sitting with C.K. Prahalad, and he was really articulating at that point in time this idea that 50 crores of Indians should be trained in 2025 at that point in time. 50 crores of Indians should be skilled. How, as Dr. Anbumani pointed out, the South Korean example, today the same South Korean technician in construction, for instance, gets 3 times the salary of an Indian technician who goes to the same Middle East, does the same job, but gets much less than what his South Korean counterpart gets. The question got asked at that point in time, and the answer was that we don't have accreditations. We don't have skill training of a meaningful kind, and we don't have people who are trained and accredited and assessed for that particular work. So the 3 legs of skill development mission got conceived, and it's taken us a long time, the National Skill Qualification Framework, the BWOC, and all that stuff, which now, 2 minutes, I will stick to it. I'm only an assembly person, don't worry. So I want to kind of stay with, not yet in the parliament, so you can rest assured. So I'd like to see, for instance, what now this government is just starting to do to create an overseas employment bureau and shift this 2 to 2.5 lakhs of people per year to at least 12 to 15 lakhs of people every year, getting organized sector employment. The world needs us, Europe needs us, US needs us, even Africa needs us, and I think India can become a skill capital of the world, which can just give a whole lot of things around. Okay, so that's my one second point I'd like to make. Third, the apprentice scheme, he's talked of Germany. I've been there. I've seen how, for instance, the apprenticeship scheme is a powerful bridge between the educational institutions and, of course, the employment market. I think some of the beginnings are getting made currently on one of the excellent schemes. I know there's so much negative which got spoken about. The government in Tamil Nadu has come up with a seminal scheme called Amma Employment Generation Scheme, where they actually give you 5,000 rupees for a SME which wants to hire a fresh engineer and or a fresh diploma holder. And this 50,000 youth are getting jobs as far as the scheme is concerned. Amma Employment Generation and Skill Development Scheme, highly replicable scheme associated with needs, which is the new entrepreneurship scheme, under which every year 1,000 entrepreneurs get this particular support of up to 1 crore. I know a young girl, 21-year-old, who can get a 1 crore support for a business venture that she has in mind. Very few states have this model replicated. In my view, excellent scheme in Kerala for angel investments. I think some of these entrepreneurship development schemes need to happen, in my view. There is an angel investment paradigm which has come in here. Chennai, we have 86 angels, part of Chennai Angels, and every city is spawning an angel network, and in my view, these are the job creation engines of the future. And in my view, that's happening quite well. It needs to happen a lot more. Government has created this 10,000 crore venture capital fund. They've only renamed what Sam Pitroda created earlier, National Innovation Fund, which has got renamed, but it's come a lot faster through the states. It's getting implemented. In my view, entrepreneurial spirit of Indians and the skill development focus and employment facilitation of a certain kind through overseas employment bureaus and recasting our employment exchanges as career centers, in my view, should lead. And of course, the master question of recasting our labor laws, which the bull by the horn has to be taken, and without ideological, blinkers, if we can recast our labor laws into simple, meaningful stuff, I think we can create competitive advantage through our human resources, which should lead to India becoming the skill capital of the world. That is my vision for human resources 2020, 2025 and later. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful speech, sir. I request Dr. Sudarshan from IIT Madras to give a small memento to Shri Mafoi Rajan, sir. Please, sir.